सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्म उपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु तदात्मनि निरते यौपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओमित्येतदक्षरमुद्गीतमुपासीत ओमिति ह्युद्गायते तस्योपव्याख्यानम्। Page 246, let us read the passage 1. अन्नमशितं त्रेधा विधीयते तस्य यस्थविष्ठो धातुः तत्पुरीशं भवति यो मध्यमः तन्मांसं योनिष्ठः तन्मनः। Annam ashitam treda vidhiyate. The food that is eaten, jatrena agnina pachyamanam. The food that is eaten is pachyamanam, is digested by the jatra agnina, by the stomach fire. Treda vidhiyate, treda vibhajyate, becomes divided into three parts or three ingredients, three components. Katham tasya annasya tridha vidhiyamanasya, of that food that is thus divided in three ways. Yasthavishta sthulatamo dhatuhu, so that which is the grossest ingredient. sthulatamam vastu, the grossest matter. Vivaktasya sthulaha amshaha, the gross ingredient, the gross as part of that which is thus digested. Tat purisham bhavati, that becomes the excreta or feces as they call it. Yo madhyama amshaha dhatuhu, that is the middle dhatu, the middle matter, a middle ingredient. Tad rasadikramena parinamya, that gets converted, transformed as fluid, and then the blood, and then the flesh. Mamsam bhavati, that ultimately becomes the flesh, the middle portion of the food that is eaten. Yah anishtaha anutamo dhatuhu, so that which is the subtlest aspect of the food. Saha urdhvam hridayam prapya, so that subtlest part rises above and comes to the portion of the heart, the region of the heart. Sukshmasu hitakyasu nadishu anupravishya, enters very fine nerves called hita. Vagadi karnasangatasya sthitim utpadayan, and assuring the continuity or sustenance of this Vagadi Karnasangata, this complex beginning from the organ of speech. Manobhavati, that subtle aspect or subtle ingredient becomes the mind. But mind is already there. How can you say that this food becomes mind? It says Manorupena viparinamat manasah upachayam karoti. It gets transformed into the mind stuff, and that is how it nourishes the mind. Tatascha annopachitattvat manasah bhautikatvam eva. Therefore, since the mind is nourished by, sustained by food, therefore it is bhautikam, it is matter, material, product of matter. And what is matter is perishable. Na vaisheshika tantrokta lakshanam nityam niravayavam chedi gruhyate. So that which is physical or material is also, it also consists of many ingredients. So it is savayavam, consisting of many avayavas or parts. So Vaisheshika says that the mind is niravayavam, partless, it cannot be. It is nityam, eternal, that also cannot be, because mind is the product of matter. Yadapi manost devam chakshuviti vakshati. Even though in the 8th chapter we told manasya devam chakshuhu, of this one the mind is the divine eye. The argument was यद्यपि दिव्य शब्द है न नित्य शब्द पर्याय है. Divya, divine, does not necessarily mean eternal, because divya and nitya, they are not synonyms. Tathapi divyatvam anyad na vaktum shakyamedi. But divine must necessarily be eternal. That's what we think. So it is said, tadapi na nityatva apekshaya. Even though the mind is called divine, that is not because the mind is eternal. Kintari, then why is the mind called divine? Sukshma, vyavahita, viprakristadi, sarvendriya vishaya vyapakatva apekshaya. Because the mind pervades all the objects of the senses. The object is sukshma, very subtle, vyavahita, hidden, viprakrishta, far away. Whatever be the objects of the senses, the mind pervades them in that sense. Compared to sense organs, it is called divine. Yacha anyendriya vishayapeksha nityatvam. Said that in dream, when other sense organs are not present, the mind is present, so mind is different from sense organs, and therefore vilakshanam. It has different characteristics. So you can say that the mind enjoys nityatvam or sort of eternality as compared to the sense organs. But apekshikam eva, the nityatvam or the eternality of mind is only apekshikam, is only in a relative sense. Iti vakshyamaha, this is what we shall say. Advitiyatva shruti baladapi namanasa nityatvam. Because of the advitiya shruti, that Sat or Brahman is one without a second, all there is Brahman. Therefore there cannot be something called Manaha standing apart from Brahman, it must be included in Brahman. Sat can be non-dual only if Sat includes everything. Nothing is excluded. If mind enjoys eternality, then mind is an independent reality, then it stands apart from Sat, in which case Sat cannot be Advitiya or non-dual. So, the fact that Shruti declares Sat as Advitiya or non-dual also means that mind cannot be apart from Sat. The reason is then only by knowing Sat that you know everything. If something stands apart from Sat, then by knowing Sat you have not known that. If mind stands apart from Sat, then knowing Sat you have not known the mind. The Ghata and Pata are two separate things. So by knowing the Ghata, you do not know the Pata. By knowing Pata, you do not know Ghata. So Sat is one entity, mind is another entity. In that case, by knowing Sat, by knowing one thing, you do not know the other thing. But however, by knowing the material cause, you know all the effects of the material cause. By knowing the clay, you know all the vessels made of clay. In that sense, Sat being the primordial material cause, knowing that everything essentially is known. Then continuing now, Anandagiri says, Bhuktasya annasya travidva mukta. The question was here, a good question was asked by Swamiji yesterday. That we say that food is element earth, gross earth. All of this is supposed to be the modification of tamas. So from the sattva is created the organs of perception and mind. From the rajas is created the organs of action and prana. From the tamas is created the body and the rest of the universe. So these five elements are gross elements, therefore they are tamas elements. And mind is created from sattva. How can food or earth, which is tamas, how can it sustain or nourish mind which is sattvic? So these prakriyas have their limitations, Because Lord Krishna in the 17th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita describes the threefold food, sattvic food, rajas food, tamas food. So apparently in food also sattva is there. Otherwise food cannot be called sattvic. Rajas must be there, tamas must be there. The 15th chapter of the Gita, when Lord Krishna says, Yada dityagatam tejaha jagad bhasayate khilam. The light which is in the sun and the moon and the fire, know that to be my light. Light of consciousness. Then the question was asked that consciousness is equally present everywhere. Why does Lord Krishna say that the light in the sun, the moon, and the fire is my light? Why? Then Vashyakara says that because they enjoy a predominance of sattva. Therefore, the manifestation of consciousness is in the form of light and brightness. This, from all of this, we have to accept that even in the universe also, these three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas, are involved. And if you look at the Sankhya Prakriya, Sankhya says that the universe is the product of the three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. So they look upon this as the combination of sattva, rajas, tamas. So sattva has to be there also, and that's why sometimes sattva is that which creates the calmness or tranquility of the mind. In creation also, there are places, there are times, there are situations when your mind is calmed down by the environment. When you may be at the shore of a lake, in the mountains, in the forest, in all this, there is a calming effect, so that is a sattvic effect. And there are situations and conditions that create, agitate your mind also. And there are things that make your mind dull also. In that sense, you accept that in the creation there is sattva, rajas and tamas. So that's the kind of explanation we can give. All this is prakriya. As we said, Trivrit Karanam, Panchikaranam is prakriya, means a model for establishing non-duality of Brahman. Basically, Tattvamasi, you are Brahman. This is what the Vedanta or Upanishads or any text of Upanishad reveals. Or it discusses this Vakya, Tattvamasi. And so these are all prakriyas or the models, the methods given to us to see that fact, to help us see that fact. Now continue. Bhuktasya annasya traividyamukva pitanam apamapi traividyam aha. Just as a food that is eaten gets divided into three components, so also the water that we drink also gets divided into three ingredients. Tatha. So, going to the next passage. Apah pitaha tredha vidhiyante tasam yasthavishto dhatuhu tanmutram bhavati yo madhyamah tallohitam yonishtha sapranah. Apah pitaha tredha vidhiyante. The water also which is consumed or drunk also gets divided into three ingredients. Tasam yasthavishto dhatu tanmutram bhavati. Of this water, the grossest ingredient becomes urine. Yo madhyamah tallohitam. The middle ingredient of water becomes blood. Yo anishtaha sa pranaha. So that which is the subtlest ingredient of water becomes pranaha, vital force. Vashyakara says, Tatha apaha pitaha tredha vidhiyante tasam yasthavishto dhatuhu tanmutram bhavati yo madhyamah तल्लोहितं भवति योनिष्ठः स प्राणो भवति तथा similarly as in the case of food so also is the case with water आपः पीतः त्रेधा विधीयन्ते the water that is drunk also gets divided into three ingredients तासां यस्थविष्ठो धातु तन्मूत्रं भवति the grossest becomes the urine यो मध्यम तल्लोहितं भवति middle becomes blood योनिष्ठः स प्राणो भवति the subtlest aspect of water becomes prana the vital energy the tika in line 40 says pranasya apomayatve uttarashrutim samvadayati how do you say that the prana is made of water how do you say that uttarashrutim samvadayati shows concurrence of a subsequent passage from this chapter itself vakshatihi Subhashyakara says vakshatihi आपोमयः प्राणः न पिबतो विच्छेत्स्यते इति वक्ष्यति this is what the Upanishad will say आपोमयः प्राणः the prana is made of water or predominant in water Na pibata means one who does not drink. If you do not drink, vichetsyate, the prana will depart. So father says to the son, come in the next passage, that if you don't drink water, your prana will depart. Therefore, drink water as much as you want, even when observing fast. So that's the concurrence of how the prana, the vital energy, is made of water. Then the next passage, Tejaha ashitam tredha vidhiyate tasya yasthavishto dhatuhu तदस्थि भवति यो मध्यमः समज्जा योनिष्ठः सावाक् तेजः अशितं त्रेधा विधीयते the element fire when it is consumed also gets divided into three ingredients तस्य स्थविष्ठो धातुः तदस्थि भवति the grossest ingredient of this fire becomes bones यो मध्यमः समज्जा the middle becomes the marrow योनिष्ठः सावाक् and that which is subtlest becomes the organ of speech. Vashyakara says तथा तेजः अशितं तैलघृतादि भक्षितं त्रेधा विधीयते तस्य यः स्थविष्ठो धातुः तदस्थि भवति तथा as was the case with food and was the case with water so also is the case with fire. Teja ashitam. When fire is consumed, how do you eat fire? So Anandika is katham tejasa agnyadityadehe ashanamiti ashankya. Tejas fire means Agni or Aditya. How do you drink? How do you eat that? So Vishnasti Bhashyakara says, so Taila Ghrutadi. By fire is meant Taila oil, Ghrutam the ghee or the clarified butter. That's what is meant by fire. Same thing, the other tea calls it Ajnade Tejasa Asha Anupatte Tejas Shabdarthamaha. Tejas means fire. The fire as we know it cannot be consumed. So by fire is meant here this Taila Ghrutadi. से ठीक है तस्य चक्षुरादि तेजोवर्धकत्वात् तेजसत्वमिति भावः. So oil, ghee, chakshuradi, tejovardhakatvat, that contributes to brightness of the eye, and therefore tejastvam, therefore it is called the light or the bright or the fire. So tela ghrutadi bhakshitam tridha vidiyate. The oil, the ghee, etc. that you eat also gets divided into three ingredients. Tasya stavishto dhatu tadasthi bhavati, and the grossest ingredient becomes bone. Next one, further Bhashya says, Yo madhyamaha samajja astyantargata snehaha. Yo madhyamaha, the middle ingredient of this fire, there is ghee, oil, etc. Samajja, that becomes marrow. So majja shabdarthamaha, Bhashyakara gives the meaning of the word majja. Asthi antargata sneha. Sneha, the greasy substance that is within the bone, that's called marrow. Yonishtaha savak. So that which is the subtlest ingredient, that becomes the speech, organ of speech. So yo anishtha savag yuktam vyakti karoti, Bhashyakara clarifies it. The other tika says, Vacha tejomate loka prasiddhi laukika prasidhim pramanayati. That the organ of speech is created from fire. Laukika prasiddhim. What is well known among people also is presented as pramanam or as evidence. So Bhashyakara says, Tailagritadi bhakshanadhi वाग विशदा भाषणे समर्था भवति इति प्रसिद्धं लोके. तैलघृतादि भक्षणादि, because by bhakshanam, by the consumption of oil and ghee, vag vishada bhavati, the speech becomes clear. Bhashane samartha bhavati, also becomes powerful in giving speeches. Iti prasiddham loke. And so those who are regular speakers, kathakaras, etc., they generally do consume ghee, because ghee is supposed to strengthen the organ of speech. Okay, now go to the next. See the Anandagiri in the line 22. Bhuktasya annasya pitanam api apam अशितस्य तैलादेशस्य ये अनिष्ठाः धातवः ते मनोवाक् प्राणा इति एवं यतः सिद्धम्. भुक्तसंज्ञस्य पीतानामपि अपाम अशितस्य तैलादेश्च. Food that is eaten, water that is drunk, and the fire which is consumed. Anishtaha dhatavah, the subtlest ingredient of these three in in that order. Manovak pranaha. So subtlest ingredient of food becomes manaha, of water becomes pranaha, and of fire becomes speech. So it's not in that order actually. Manovak pranaha. Idam yata siddham. Since that is what is established now in the previous passages, Ata tesham annadimatvam yuktam. Therefore, it's quite appropriate that these three have their source in the anna, apaha and tejaha. So next passage says, Annamayam soumya manaha apomayah pranaha तेजोमयी वागिते भूय एव मा भगवान् विज्ञापयतु इति तथा सौम्येति होवाच. Annamaya, because he Soumya, O good looking one, Annamaya Manaha, the mind is made up of food. Apomaya Prana, the prana, the vital air, is made of water. Tejo Mahi Vagiti, the organ of speech is made up of fire. So when the teacher said this to Shvetaketu, then Shvetaketu appeals to the teacher, requests, Pu evama Bhagavan Vijñapayatu iti. The reviewer, sir, may please again make me understand, because I have not quite well understood what you have said. Tatha Swamite Hovacha. Okay, my dear, I will do that. So Bhashyakara says, Yatah evam अन्नमयमि सौम्य मनः आपोमयः प्राणः तेजोमयी वाक्. Yata evam ataha, that should have been Yata evam, since this is the case. What is it? Because, as Anandagiri said, the subtle aspect of the three elements make up the three organs, three karanas. Therefore, Annamaya Soumya Manaha, therefore, he Soumya, a good looking one, mind is Annamaya, product of food. Apomaya Pranaha, the vital is product of Apa or water. Tejomayi Vak, the organ of speech is product of Tejas or fire. Now say Dhanagi, Tesham annadimayatvam vyateka asiddhamiti ashritya akshipati. Tesham annamayatvam vyateka asiddham. Anvaya and Vyatireka. Anvaya, where the food is, there the mind is. Vyatireka, where the food is not, there the mind is not. And where the water is, there the prana must be. Where water is not, prana cannot be. Where fire is, speech is. Where fire is not, speech is not. That is Vyatireka. But Vyatireka Siddham, but we find that even when the food is not, the mind is there. When water is not, prana is there. When fire is not, speech is there. So Vyatireka Siddhamiti Ashritya Akshipati. Same thing, the other tika says in the line 35, Vagadinam Tejomayatvatikam na sambhavati Vyatireka Vyavicharat. The speech, etc., made of fire is not possible because the contrary is not true. Nanuviti, Shankare. So Bhashyakara says, Nanu kevalan bhakshinaha आखो प्रभृतयः वाग्मिनः प्राणवन्तश्च तथा अम्मात्रभक्ष्याः समुद्रः मीनमकरप्रभृतयः मनस्विनः वाग्मिनश्च तथा स्नेहपानामपि प्राणवत्वं च अनुमेयम् यदि सन्ति तत्र कथम् अन्नमयि सौम्यमनः इत्याद्युच्यते. Akhu means a rat. Kevalanna bhakshana akhu prabhutayah. The creatures beginning from rat, they only eat food. I don't know whether they drink water or not. Looks like they only eat food. There is no water in them, there is no fire in them. Vagvinaha pranavantasya. Still the rats also, they also make sound, so they have speech. And pranavant, they are alive, so they have the organ of speech. And they have the vital force. Tatha ammatra bhaksha samudraha. The aquatic animals or creatures such as meena makara prabhutaya. Meen is the fish, makara is the shark, so prabhutaya, all these. Manasvina, vagminascha, there is one ga extra there, vagminascha. So fish and shark also have mind, and they also make sound. Tasnepan, snepaha, snepanapi. Similarly, those only who consume the sneha or these oily substances, pranavatvam anumeyam, the fact that they are alive means that they have the vital force. So Vyatirika Siddhi is not there. If water is not there, you will find that prana should not be there. Fire is not there, the speech should not be there. But in creatures like rats, etc., even though they eat only annam, they still have the vital air, they still have the speech. So we wonder, how did they get these other elements? Or whether what the Shruti says is right or not. Yadi santi, thus pranavatvam cha anumayam yadi santi, they can infer that the creatures who only drink oil or ghee or the oily substance, they also must have prana because they are alive. Tatra katham annameva somyam mana ityadi. Then how do you say that mind is only a matter of the product of food and not product of water or fire? And prana is only product of water, not of fire and earth. How do you say that? Annagiri says, Akhu pramukhanam suta udapadanadi anupalambepi. उदपादानादि अनुपलम्भेपि यत्तेषां भक्ष्यं तत्रैव उदकान्तर्भाव संभवात् प्राणादेः अमयत्वादि उपन्नम् इति उत्तरमाह. Bhashyakara simply raises this question again to bring back the Trivutkaranam, because that is that's the background here. Akhu pramukhanam sfuta udapadanadi anupalambepi. So, we do not see rats, etc., openly drinking water. Yat tesham bhakshamba, whatever solid food they eat, Tatre udaka antarbhava sambhavat. In that food also the water is contained. Therefore, because Trivut Karanam, therefore, Pranade Amyatvadi Upannam, therefore, the prana is a product of water and the speech is product of fire. It is quite tenable, it's quite reasonable because all the three elements are present in all of them. So, Vasya Naisha Dosha. Same the other टीका से अन्नादिषु भूतांतरांशानां विद्यमानत्वात् आखु प्रवृत्तिनां भागम युक्तमिति परिहरति. Same thing. The food that they eat contains the other other elements also, and therefore that rat etc. they possess speech etc. is quite understandable. So Vashyakara says, Naisha dosha. That defect does not arise in this case. Sarvasya Trivritkritatvat Sarvatre Sarvopapattehe. Sarvasya Trivritkritatvat, whatever it is a product of the threefold combination. Therefore, Sarvatra Sarvopattehe. Everything is present everywhere. All the three elements are present everywhere. Because of the Trivut Karanam, threefold combination. Explaining that Anik is Sarvasya Annadeve Trivut Kritatvasya Uktatvat. Because Anna means the element earth and water and fire. The Shruti has already said that they undergo the process of Trivut Karanam or threefold combination. Tasya sarvasya bhakshasya bhutatrayatma sambhavat. Therefore, each element has all the three elements in them. So when you consume one, other two also get consumed. By the way, automatically. Ekaikam bhakshayatopi sarvabhakshayato upattehe. Therefore, even though creature may be eating only one element out apparently, but that element contains other two also. Everyone eats everything. Manadehe annamayatvam aviruddham. Therefore, there is no contradiction in saying that the mind is the product of food, because even if fish and shark, they do not eat food, only drink water, but there also element earth is there, etc. Uktameva vyaktikarodi. That same thing Vashyakara further clarifies. Nahi ityadina. Nahi atrivritkritam annam ashnadi kaschid. Apo va atrivritkritah piyante. Tejo va atrivritkritam ashnadi kaschid iti. Annadanam akupravrutinam vangmitvam pranavatvam ityadi aviruddham. There also one guy is extra, vagmitvam pranavatvam cha ityadi aviruddham. Nahi atrivritkrita annam ashnadi kaschida. So whenever you eat food, it always the product threefold combination, nobody eats the food that is not combined because it is subtle. Even if the element earth is there, if it is not undergone the process of Trivutkaranam, then it is subtle. That cannot be consumed because there is no tangibility there. So, nahi atrivuktam annavashnadi kaschida. In order for you to eat food, the food must necessarily be gross, and that it must be product of the threefold combination of elements. Remember that when this Upanishad says threefold combination, we should also take into account the Taittiriya Upanishad which talks of fivefold combination. So threefold here stands for fivefold. But for the discussion, only three elements are mentioned here. So it says Tijo Atrivuktashnadi Kaschideti अन्नादानाम अखुप्रवृत्तिनाम वाग्मित्वम प्राणवत्वम च इत्यादि अविरुद्धम. Therefore, even though the rats etc. may appear to eat only solid food, still water is contained because of Trivatkaranam, and therefore they do get their quota of water. Says another again in line 27, Uktaritya man adehe annadi mayatva pratyayana dvara. The Shvetaketu is made to see this pratyayanam, is made to see manadehe annamayadi mayatva, that the mind is the product of food, the vital air, the product of water, etc. Pranadya sanmatra parishede pratyayite. The idea is not only the universe is a product of the three elements, this body also is a product of three elements. And three elements have their origin in Sat. Therefore, by knowing Sat, you know everything. Sanmatra parisheshe pratyayite se pranadya means indirectly. So, indirectly, the earth is water, water is fire, fire is Sat. Shvetaketu chodayati. Now Shvetaketu raises a question here before his father says Uddalaka. Ityavamiti. So Bhashyakara says, Ityevam pratyayitaha Shvetaketuhu aha. So Shvetaketu, who was thus made to see how the mind is a product of food, etc. Shvetaketu, who was made to see this. Aha, that Shvetaketu says. Bhashyakara says, Bhuya eva punareva ma Bhagavan अन्नमयि सौम्य मनः इत्यादि विज्ञापयतो दृष्टान्तेन अवगमयतो न अद्यापि मम अस्मिन्नर्थे सम्यक् निश्चयो जातः. Bhuya mam Bhagavan vijñāpayatu. May the revered sir make me see again. What is it? Annamaya soumya mana ityadi. that you made a statement that the mind is product of food, etc. So may the Bhagavan please make me see this. Again, Vijñāpadu Drishtantena Avagamayatu. May the reviewer sir make me understand this fact with the help of illustration. Nadyapi mama asmin arthe sammyang nischayo jataha. In spite of your reviewer sir seeing all of this, still sammyang nischaya, a firm conviction has not yet arisen in me in spite of this explanation on your part. So that's what Anidit Sarvesham Sannidhana Avisheshe Annasya Sukshmamsha Maneva Upachinoti iti na pranamiti nischa asiddhi. Sarvesham Sannidhana Avisheshe. See, when you eat food, then mind also is there, prana also is there, speech also is there, present in the body. So the subtle aspect of food only nourishes the mind and not the prana. How is that determined? Annasya sukshmamsha mana eva upachinoti na pranamiti. So Shruti says that the subtle aspect, the subtle ingredient of food nourishes the mind but does not nourish prana. Even though prana is right there, and subtle aspect of water nourishes prana and not the mind, even the mind is there. Iti nischaya asiddhi. So that is not yet ascertained by me. How is it so? When all the three elements are there and all the three organs are also there, then how come one element, this exact division, how does it take place? Then Anandagiri says, Parthivame upachinoti iti visheshamashankyaha. That look, mind is matter. So the food which is matter nourishes the mind. So that's all right. So says Yasmaditi. Yasmat tejo bandhamayattvena avishishte dehe ekasmin upayujyamanaha upayujyamanani anna apsnehajatani anishtadhaturupena मनः प्राणवाचः उपचिन्वन्ति स्वजाति अनतिक्रमेण इति दुर्विज्ञेयम् इति अभिप्रायः अतः भूय एव इत्यादि आह. यस्मात् Tejobannamayatvena avishishte dehe. The body is made of three elements. Tejaha, abannam, fire, water and earth. Ekasmin dehe, body is one. Upayujyamanani, up anna up sneha jatani. These three come to the same body. Again the body is made up of these three elements, and those three elements come to this body. So upayujyamanani, when they apply it, when they come in contact with this body. Annap sneha jatani, anna means again food, of water, sneha means the greasy substance, oil or the fire. Anishta dhatu rupena mana pranavacha upachinvanti. That is subtle element, the subtle ingredient of food only nourishes the mind, subtle ingredient of water nourishes the prana, subtle ingredient of fire nourishes the speech. Swajati anatikramena iti. So without transgressing their characteristic, the food does not transgress the characteristic of nourishing only mind. So food does not nourish the water, nourish the speech, nourish prana. So each one without transgressing their characteristic, how do they systematically only nourish these specific aspects corresponding to them? So the Tika says, Swajati Anarikramena iti, in the line 37, Sthulasya Purishadehe Madhyamasya Mamsadesya Annadikaratvam Asankarina Jnatum Shakyam. So certain things we can also see. Sthulasya Purishade, the excreta, and the flesh, which are very tangible and gross, we can see that they are the products of food. It is easy for us to verify that. Asankaryena jnatum shakyam. There is no water and no fire in them. There is food in there. Asankarana. Without any confusion or mix-up, it is possible for us to ascertain that. So this is okay. Teshu annadi anugatehe vidyamanatvad. Because in feces and in flesh we see the continuity of food, and therefore we can understand that the gross and the middle part of the food sustains them. Next page says, Mana adishutu annadi anishtadadu karyatvam asankaryena durgraham. By the mind, how do you say that there is subtle aspect of food? We can't verify that. Mana adishutu annadi anishtadadu karyatvam. That mind is the karya, the product of the subtle aspect of food. The prana is the karya or the effect of the subtle aspect of water. The speech is the product of the subtle aspect of fire. In speech you don't see the presence of fire that you can recognize. In prana you do not see the presence of water. In mind you do not see the presence of food. Teshu spashta annadikarana anuvritti abhavad. There is no continuity there of these three elements in those three respective organs. So how can I come to an ascertainment? How can I come to this clear understanding that these three sustain those three organs respectively only, and there is no mix-up there? Iti durvijnayam iti abhipraya atah bhuveva ityadyaha. So this is what Shvetiketu is thinking. He didn't say that, but Father must have recognized it. Bhashyakara recognizes that. So with this in mind, Shvetiketu said this, bhuveva mam bhagavan vijñāpayatu. The revered sir, make me see this again. Says again Anandagiri in the line 29, Ekasmin udare pravishtanam annadinam mishri bhutatvat. See, the stomach is one. So when you consume food and water and ghee and oil, etc., mishri bhutatvat, they all get mixed up in the stomach. Manasasya sarvabhuta guna vyanjakatvena sarvabhuta arabdhatvat. And look, you cannot say that the mind is merely a product of the element earth, because mind illumines all other elements also. Manasasya sarvabhuta guna vyanjakatvena. So mind reveals the sound also, which is the organ of speech. Mind reveals prana also. So mind illumines everything. Mind illumines the characteristics of all the three elements. You can't say mind is only parthivam. No, you can't say that it is only product of the earth. Mind reveals sound also, reveals smell also, reveals everything. Sarvabhuta Guna Vyanjakatvena. So mind reveals the characteristic of Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Sarvabhuta Arabdhatva. Therefore, we can say mind is a product of all the five elements, not just the element earth. So mind reveals sound, shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha. See, organ of hearing only perceives the sound. So you can say that the organ of hearing is the product of the sattva aspect of the element space. And the organ of touch is the product of the sattva aspect of the element air. So that is understood because they do only one thing. But the mind reveals all of them. Mind is behind all the sense organs of perception. So we have to accept that the mind is product of all the five elements. Sattva aspect of each of the five elements must be present in the mind. The only mind can reveal those corresponding characteristics. So that the mind is the product of Parthiva, meaning its product of earth, is not cannot be said. It must be product of all the five elements. Parthivatva asiddhe. If mind was only made up of earth, then you can say that the food will nourish the mind, but mind is made up of all the elements. Na ukto vishesha sambhavati. Therefore, this specific vishesha here means the distinction. The mind is only made up of earth is not right. Yasmat evam abhipraya shvetaketo atah iti yojana. So see, in the line 10, Bhashya Yasmat. In the line 11, towards the end it says Ataha Bhueva Ityadyaha. Yasmat is there, Ataha is here. So Tika Yasmat Evam Abhipraya Shvetaketoho. Since Shvetiketu has this process of thinking going on in his mind, Ataha, therefore, Bhuya Eva Ityadyaha. Therefore Shvetiketu said, Bhueva ma Bhagavan Vijñapaitu. Anandagiri continues, Mana adehe annadimayatvam upapadaitum uttara grantham avatarayati. Mana adehe annadimayatvam. That mind is product of annam, and prana product of water, and speech product of fire. Upapadaitum, to explain it with reasoning. Uttara grantham is the purpose of the following section now. Tamevam iti. So Bhashyakara says, Tamevam uktavantam tathasa somya iti hovacha pita. Tathasa somya, a good looking one, made me so. Iti hovacha pita, what the father said. शृणु अत्र दृष्टान्तम् यथा एतत् उपपद्यते यत् पृच्छसि. शृणु अत्र दृष्टान्तम्. Here, now listen to the illustration. यथा एतत् उपपद्यते यत् पृच्छसि, by which you can understand in a logical sense what you want to know, what you can understand in logical sense. Listen to this drishtanta or illustration. If you see Anandagiri, next page, Yatvam man adehe annadimayatvam kathamidi pruchasi. You are asking, how can you say that mind is only product of the food and not other two elements, etc. Tadidam yatha upadyate tatha annad atra annadimayatve tasya drishtana uchyamanam shrunu. And we will tell you now in the illustration by which it will become clear to you how each element contributes to nourishment of the corresponding organ. Or the Narayana Nandendra says, यत् अन्नादिकार्यत्वं मनादे पृच्छसि तद्वपद्यते तथा तद्दृष्टान्तं शृणु. Same thing. You say that the mind is the product of food, etc. For that, the illustration I am telling you, may you please listen. Yatha etadopanyate, by which it will become clear to you, yat pruchasi, which is what you are asking. Okay. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः. ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः. ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. हरि ओम. श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. हरि ओम.